Probably not more.
As it is 7 o'clock,
Not anymore.
let's get this meeting going here. And we'll begin with the approval of the agenda. One thing just to note, the enclosure number 1, is new at your stations. I think it's just, it was general election was on the resolution, and it's a special election. So that is the only change,
Yeah.
Joy?
Yeah.
So, that is the change on it.
I've got something I'd like to add and something I'd like to pull off. An addition is because Melissa Sagadol is not here anymore, we do not have a vice chair now.
Okay,
So I think we probably should look at electing somebody for the vice chair. And then, as far as pulling things off, new business number 1, we have the administrative structure. And as a being on the finance committee, we've never really gotten to talk about what we're doing there as a finance committee. That's never been, Tracy and I, and you're on there,
Mhm.
right? And we've never really realistically gotten to talk about any of that stuff in a meeting of any sort. So I'd like to pull that off until we can, cause we've asked for a meeting with Mr. Bransoy twice. And I would like to pull it off so we can discuss that before we go any further.
Isn't that generally an administration thing?
well,
And it goes with Lindsay?
it is an administrative decision, but it does affect.
It is and it's
I mean,
not,
it
because it's a new
affects-
position.
Right.
But the finance committee should have something to say, should have something to do with it. That's part of our job as
Well, I guess I
finance
would have
committee
thought that
is
if
to look through.
Lindsay was looking at it and saying this is where we can be, then that's what I would trust.
Well, that was Mr. Bransoy and Lindsay, yes. But Mr. Bransoy's not here anymore, and I think with Mr. Minton, we should have had that opportunity to go through it with him
Mhm.
before we went further.
Okay, so
So,
Could we leave it on and then
table it,
maybe table it after some discussion, because this is gonna move fast, and, we could have put a finance committee meeting together for today if we would have known that, but, if we do decide that we have to hire somebody different, then we need to get that posted, so if we could just maybe discuss it, and then if we're feeling that we shouldn't pass it,
if that's where you're gonna go, then I want them both separated. I want Brett on one line and the Dean of Students on the other. 2 separate issues, not one together, cause you really
Okay, so
shouldn't be
one-
approving 2 people together at the
so
same time.
1 and 1A,
Yeah.
Mr. Flan will be 1A. If that is acceptable. In terms of the vice chair, our electing happens at not that we can't do this, it's just that I wasn't prepared for that tonight. I guess that would have been good to know ahead of time, because there is, we have to ask for nominations, and we have to ask 3 times, and then we have to vote, and that's something we do at the beginning of the year. Like right now, your treasurer, Tracy, is the clerk. If I'm gone, I'm gonna ask one of you 2 to run the meeting, cause you're officer, so I don't know if it's necessarily, and if one of you are gone, I'll probably we might not have 4 people if,
But doesn't that vice chair also work with administration along with you
If we
on
have,
certain
if we
issues?
have an executive
So-
committee meeting, which we haven't had yet, but can we, I don't know if I wanna do that tonight, because I guess I would've, like I said, would've been nice to have you reach out, and then I could have had a little more time to figure that out in terms of what we need to do here.
Technically, we have to have a vice president, don't we?
No, not that I know of. It's, we always have had officers on the board. I don't know if it's we can't operate without one, but
So let's,
do you have any information otherwise?
I haven't had a chance to look, I'm just
Okay.
learning about this, too,
Let's,
so I wanna look into that too.
Can I work on some of this, and either we have a special meeting or do it at the next meeting? Cause I'm a little blindsided by this.
right, well,
So,
I just
it
thought
just
about
would
it as I
be-
was looking here, I
okay.
thought, okay.
It just would be good to, I gotta do a little more check. I mean, I think we can do it, it's just, I didn't, I usually print out a sheet that I read because I
Okay.
read that
Yeah.
like it's supposed to
Alright.
be, so I don't,
No, that's fine.
so.
But
Okay.
between now and then, we
Yeah.
probably shouldn't have any kind of executive meetings of
No,
any sort then,
right.
because we won't have that second person in on that.
Yeah, exactly, I agree.
I'd like to bring up something to be added to is that typically we have like a school board discussion spot, and tonight is just school board committee reports. I'd like to add that in for a discussion area.
Can it just go under school board committee reports for tonight? Can we just utilize that school board committee
Yeah, if you
reports
guys are all
and
good with that.
discussion?
Yeah.
Let's
put
just do
discussion in there. And then, I don't know if this is the place to put it or we'll
Let's,
discuss this.
Just in the future, let's try to do this ahead of this meeting, but let's just keep going
Okay.
for tonight.
So I would like to have this added in somewhere as part of the agenda that after the recognition of visitors to the board meeting, that later on throughout the night, under new business or wherever, that we would address those concerns that the community members bring up to us as a board here, instead
Well,
of
and that
never
can be
talking
done,
to them.
that can be done during the school board committee
Okay.
and discussion time.
Okay, all right.
So, and I know that in the past, like this, Mr. Bransoy would often do that during his report. So I think that it just, in order to keep this business meeting moving a little more,
Well, I was just trying to address Mr. Menton's thing about wanting
Yep.
to have more
Yes.
community input,
Yes.
and this way,
Agreed.
instead of people showing up saying what their feelings are and we never addressing it,
Yep.
this way we can.
What I would like to do with that is I'd like to, make sure we get the question, have Joel write it down, what that question is. We will get it answered to that person, and then what I'd like to do is have a questions spot on our website where we are posting those. So we say, such and such a person asked this question, and then we post the response to that, so that is out there,
yeah, to everybody as well.
so that everybody can hear that answer.
Well, I think we should do that and still address them.
Absolutely, if we can. What, I think the reason that a lot of times they don't answer every single question is we don't always have every single answer. I remember there was a question on a check a few months ago that Dale didn't know, then he asked me, and then I didn't know, and,
Maybe they're not.
I gave my
Yes.
best answer, and then when I found out later that I was mistaken. So, that's
Well,
some of the
and I think this
danger of that.
going back to when I was a community member and had questions, they never got answered, and if you wanted questions answered, you had to reach out to each individual school.
Yeah, no, and I agree, we need
So
to make sure they're
that's-
answered. I'm just saying that I think the reason that they don't always do
Right.
that at every board meeting is because we don't always have the answers. And a lot of times people will try to give an answer, even if they don't have all the information, just so that they don't look like they don't know the answer, and end up giving poor information out there.
Cause I was just thinking, like, when the community addresses the board with a concern,
It's never been like that, just so you know.
I understand that, but
That doesn't mean you
that's-
can't change.
Right.
Right.
And that's why
Any-
I'm saying, like, we're dealing with community members, and with division here, so we're trying to
Mhm.
bring people together, and I think if we learn to dialogue with people,
Yeah.
even if we don't have the answer that night, at least we can address our community members and then get back to them if we don't have an answer for them, and say, we will discuss this as a board, and then post it or
But
Bring it to the next
consistency wise, just to make sure that every person is either addressed or,
you're right,
right,
just answer the questions, yeah,
doing the same for all, so.
exactly.
Okay, anything else? And again, if we can do this ahead of time, that will help with this part of the agenda that we haven't approved yet. So, okay. So just going over here, one thing we added, school board committee reports and discussion, that's under reports. And then under new business, we, number one is approve a change to the administrative structure to have Brett Benson, K-12 principal. 1A will be approve a change to the administrative structure to have Derek Flan, Dean of Students and Activities Director. So those two separate items. And that was it for this agenda. So, could I get a motion to approve as amended this agenda.
Can make a motion to approve it.
Motion is made by Jacobs,
Second, Bowling.
seconded by Boleen. And any further discussion or questions? Hearing nothing, we will vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Recognition of visitors to the board meeting. Thank you all for coming out. We'll try to keep it short and stick to business here so we can get everybody informed, but yet out to enjoy the beautiful evening that is out there so Brian can go and sweat a little bit more. So, all right, moving on to public forum. So our public forum is placed on the agenda for regular board meetings. During this part of each regular school board meeting, up to 10 minutes of time will be allowed for district constituents to address the school board. Each person or topic may have up to 2 minutes of time. This is a time of listening by the board. And if you would like to speak, please come and stand back here so you can be on camera. So if anybody would like to speak, now is the time to do so. Would anyone like to speak? Drew? No? All right, thank you. And as always, if you would want to talk to a school board member, we're pretty accessible. So please do so. Consent items. Only one motion is needed to approve all our consent items. And so this month we have approving the bills for payment and approving the minutes of the January 29th or 28th, 2021 regular meeting and our July 1, 2021 special meeting.
So move, Bowling.
Motion's made by Boleen,
I'll second it.
seconded by Bowen. Any questions or discussion?
I just got a couple questions in here.
Okay, which piece of paper?
Okay. Check register. Well, this isn't really a question, but we've got, Alton Piano Tuning and Repair. Is he still doing that?
I believe so.
Is he really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's pretty amazing. That's pretty good. I just got it, CDWG. That's good.
I'm sorry, that was just funny, I was like.
That's really good that he's doing that. I
Yeah, it
think
is,
it's cool.
it is.
CDWG. Can
Okay,
you help
what
me out with
page
that?
you on?
Page 14, second one down. Can you help me out with that? Brenhaven cases, TV mounts, monitor, SSD drive.
I'm sorry, which page, Sandy?
Page 12, or 14.
I'll probably have to get back to you, because I don't know, I don't know off the top of my head here.
I just don't know what Brenhaven cases there are, so. Just this kind of. And TV monitors, monitor.
Computer
Oh, yeah, that's
type
computer stuff, that's
items.
from Neil.
Yeah,
What are the Brenhaven cases? I don't know.
maybe for the iPads.
Oh,
But
that-
we'll have to get back to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get back to you on that.
Yep, no, that's fine. Page 15, I just got the Dakota mailing service contract. What is the service contract for? That mailing?
For $370,
Yeah.
Dakota mailing, is it our post?
Do you know?
That's our postage machine,
Oh,
and Dakota Mailing is the company we lease it from,
okay,
and they come and do all the repairs and any fixing
okay,
that's needed.
thank you.
Any other ones?
Oh. That's it. Thanks.
Anyone else?
And if you guys could let me know those questions ahead of time too, because
Well,
then not
I was
only
gone all
does
weekend,
it doesn't look like I don't know what I'm doing, because I even remember asking Joy what that was before I signed it, but, yeah.
That's fine.
All right, with no other discussion, we will vote here for the consent items. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on, nothing under personnel. So that doesn't always happen, I didn't even notice that.
Wouldn't that, these other two be at their new business ones, wouldn't that be personnel instead of up here new business?
Well, now it's under new business.
To
No,
be-
I know, but
to be honest-
normally, wouldn't it be?
I should have said don't put their names on this, because I just wanted the plan to be approved, and then then the next step would be to put the names in there and you would approve that, but, so technically.
Well, I would ask anyway who the.
Yeah, no, I know, and,
So
yeah,
regardless if you left them off or not, it doesn't matter, I don't think.
it probably could have gone under there, yeah.
Okay,
I just, cause normally that's what it is.
yep. Moving on to superintendent's report.
Yep.
That's you, you're up.
All right. Let's see, and I apologize, I didn't mean to put this much detail into this. It was originally supposed to be for my notes, but, the legislator did come through with extra funding for this year and next, an extra, $555 million in '22 and, in '23, $668 million, which is helpful. There is not gonna be any expansion for our pre-K program, the voluntary pre-K. So unfortunately, the schools that have been getting funding for that still get that funding, and if you didn't sign up right away, however long ago that was, they're not helping us. So I'm disappointed to see that, because we spend a lot of money on our pre-K programs, and that would have been nice. And they also had a prohibition in there of lunch shaming. I can say that, so that's, lunch shaming is what you hear about when a kid goes through the lunch line and doesn't have enough money to pay, and so they take their lunch away from them, which I can tell you that in the 5 years I've been here, we've never done that. Because it's a horrible thing to do to a human.
Yeah.
And it's not the kid's fault that they didn't have that money in there. So we've never done that, but we've had a lot of groups that have been very generous over the years that have donated money to our food service program to help balance that out at the end of the year. So
If there is a delinquent account or one that's backed up quite a bit, does the child still get to eat?
yes, yep, yeah, and it did used to be that they had like a peanut butter sandwich or something like that, and we got rid of that. We thought, no, again, it's not that kid's fault that
Right.
that it's not paid, for whatever reason, it's not paid. So we let them eat, and then we deal with that outside of it. And it won't be a problem this year, because they're funding lunches for everyone again this year, so that's good. But there'll be a shock the following year when everybody has to start paying for lunches again, I guess. You guys are waiting for me, all right.
Yep.
Sorry, not used to this here. The reopening of the school year coming up, we've got our preparedness plan posted on the website. I expect that's gonna change, because we don't know what the state's doing. They keep talking about what they're gonna do, what they're gonna be requiring. As I mentioned to you guys in my weekly update, I think it's safe to assume that unvaccinated people are probably gonna be asked to be wearing masks. We're not going to be asking kids, have you been vaccinated? You need to prove it. We're not gonna be doing that. I would say that it's very, very likely that the state's gonna say that anyone under the age of 12 is gonna have to wear a mask, because they won't have been able to get the vaccination. But again, we don't know, so I'm just speculating
We
on
have
that.
to send like when you sign them up, you have to show if they have their vaccinations. Why would that be different?
So you have to show that for like measles, mumps, rubella and all that. It falls into a different category of vaccination.
Just curious.
Yeah, and like any flu shot, we can't ask anyone if they got the flu shot in
Right.
any other year.
Okay.
And it's just not a mandatory vaccination.
Doesn't it kind of fall under the HIPAA law kind of?
Yeah, it's absolutely
Yeah.
under the HIPAA law, yeah. Yeah.
So if all the staff are vaccinated, it doesn't matter then, the children are still gonna be required to wear a mask?
That's what I'm guessing is going to happen.
I would assume so.
I'm guessing that's gonna come from the state. But again, we're gonna have to wait and see what
Cause
they
there's other kids they can expose.
say, yeah.
I thought the kids weren't the spreaders, so.
Well, the kids are the spreaders
The new
that,
Delta variant they are.
yeah, the problem has been that, in the past has been, they could spread it, but they didn't necessarily have all of the symptoms, so it was easy to not know that your kid was sick. So I think that was part of their rationale. In the end, we just have to do what the state is telling us to
Right.
do. And believe me, we wanna make this as normal a year as possible, and if we don't have to, we're going to do the least we're required to do. But we have to make sure that our staff have a safe place to come to work. So, we've gotta find a balance. Let's see, we're still looking for 2 special education teachers, and this is something we're becoming very concerned about. My source told me that, and I think it's a valid source, that last year St. Cloud State graduated 1 student with a special ed degree. We've got 2 positions open out of 6, and we're not getting anyone to apply right now at all. So I don't know what we're gonna do. I've been in contact with the service co-op who oversee our special ed for us. They are very well aware that we need these positions filled. They have positions of their own they're trying to fill, which doesn't help us either. But if anybody knows, this is for the people here, if anybody knows anybody with a 4-year degree that is fairly organized and likes working with children, preferably loves working with children, we would be happy to work with them to get them a licensure. We can get what's called a Tier 1 licensure. They can get it 3 times. We'd be happy to work with a responsible, good person to do this. So if you know of someone who's always wanted to teach special ed, we've got a spot for them. Seriously, if you know of somebody that would be interested in working with children, we would love to have them. The only legal requirement is that they have a 4-year degree. All right. Coming back next week is the MSBA Virtual Summer Seminar. If any of you guys want to attend, let Joy know. We'll get the registration taken care of for you. It's cheaper if you do it before July 30th. And I know of the things happening there, I think it's all online. I know Commissioner Mueller is going to discuss what our schools can expect in the upcoming school year. There's going to be breakout sessions, and it said something about getting to see the people that you've met over the years. I don't know how you do that online, but they actually said it, so there must be a way. We've got our audit coming up in a couple of weeks. I don't have anything else really to add on that. There's been, as I've emailed you a couple times, I think, there's been a request to purchase some property in Bird Island. There's a group led by Corey Eiler. They're looking at building a splash pad and pickleball courts. They'd like to do it on land that we own. There's some tennis courts there right now. It's just south of the baseball diamonds on, is it 10th?
It's not actually even tennis courts anymore. I think it's been like a batting area.
Is that what I drove by it and I thought it looked like tennis courts.
It used to be, but
Okay.
yeah.
And if anybody wants to go hay that, they certainly can. They're interested in that, and they're looking at a grant from the DNR, and in order to get that grant, they need to have at least the property or at least a purchase agreement. So I did talk to our attorney to see kind of what the next steps would be. If we're interested, I think the facilities team should get together, or committee should get together and review this. If they think it's a good idea, we can talk about things like what would we want to sell it for, how much do we want to sell, that kind of thing.
So the city of Rhode Island wasn't in charge of maintaining that? That was always the school? That was supposed to maintain that?
I don't know. My understanding was that there had been an understanding on, like, mowing, are you talking?
No, I was even like the courts themselves.
Oh, I don't know that.
They haven't been courts for a couple years.
Well, no, I realize
Yeah.
that, but I was just curious who is supposed to be in charge of keeping those up to,
Yeah.
patching it.
I didn't even know they were there, so, yeah.
Check with the mayor, see what she says. They should know.
In fact, I didn't even know that was our property until they contacted me. So,
Are you sure that it is because when we had
Oh, it is.
softball, there was a girl that was hit in the face and it was actually city, like, they went after the city for a baseball that came and hit her in the face.
Really?
What field though?
The softball fields, for like 7th and 8th grade softball.
I don't know if those are. I think the JV field
Yeah, if you
is full.
go to the county plot site and then you can go on there and you
Okay.
can see exactly what it is we own.
Where it's cut off. Yeah, cause they went after the city and like, oh,
And I was advised that the lines you see online are not exact,
yeah.
so it may look like we're encroaching on somebody else's land and we may or we may not be, I don't know.
So if we do that, we probably want to get it surveyed or to know
Yeah, you'd
exactly
have to
where.
get it surveyed
Yeah.
at some point before the sale. You don't necessarily have to get the entire piece surveyed if you just wanna do a section of it. They would not be interested in purchasing the whole section. Cause part of that would include a practice field over there. But
Sounds
we
good.
could use a meeting of the facilities committee, and do I just call that?
You absolutely
Mhm.
can.
All right.
Otherwise I have to.
Yeah, who does that then? Who calls the meetings for the finance committee and who calls?
Typically, in
and the
the past, it's
facility.
been the superintendent
Okay.
that has done it, but if.
Or we can request it
Yeah,
to be done,
right.
which we've done.
So if you wanna meet, yeah, let me know and I can throw something together
Mhm.
then. Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanna meet.
okay. Yeah, we'll have to,
Okay,
it sounds
Put
like.
a finance committee meeting down too.
that too, yeah. Speaking of finance committee, there's a leadership, a school finance and management workshop that's being put on by MSBA. Can we get signed up for that?
Sure. Yep,
Send that over to you?
yeah, let me know and I'll have Joy.
Okay, well, I'll talk to you afterwards about that.
Yeah, and I'm glad you asked that. If anytime you guys wanna attend something like that, you know, the more we know, the better off we are, so, yeah, just, put in Joy, did they put in a requisition, or do we fill that out for them, or?
Just email me and let me know and I'll get you signed up for it.
Okay, yeah, as far as I know, nobody needs permission to do any of that, just if it's part of the MSBA, let's see, the class of 77 sign donation, you know, they've been very generous over the years with scholarships, but they kinda wanna phase that out, and they wanted to donate about $50,000 for this sign. It went to the city council, and they loved the idea, but it had to go to the variance committee because it didn't meet all of the sign needs, or requirements of the city of Olivia. And at the variance committee, there were some local citizens that showed up that were just very concerned about the sign. So they asked us to get a demonstration of it. So I set it up for last week, and they showed up, they brought a very similar sign. It was the same area but different dimensions. And they put that on. I talked to them because originally they were just gonna do it for an hour, but the concern really wasn't what the sign looked like during the day, it was what it looks like at night, which I thoroughly understand. So we convinced them to leave it at night. Of course, something always has to go wrong for us, cause that's, seems like our lot in life. They only turned on half of the sign, which I don't,
Yeah, didn't turn on both sides.
I have no idea. I showed up at 10:15 to take a look at it right before they were supposed to take it down, and I'm like, really? Seemed pretty simple. But we were able to see what the sign looked like from half of it. Now this will go back to the variance committee. They've given the people who wanted to make comments time to contact City Hall, and it sounds like as of today that they have heard back from the people that were concerned, and they'll put together another meeting, hopefully soon, of the variance committee. I know some of the things that it needs variance for is the location on the grounds. There's a requirement by the city that no sign is more than 10 square feet, and this one's actually like 30 square feet. There's concern that no business is supposed to have more than one sign, and they're saying, well, we have we already have two, and this would be a third one. So we've got the one out on the northwest corner, we've got another, they say, over the auditorium. But I started thinking about that, well, if those are signs, then we've got one that says high school office out there, we've got one that says district office, there's something on we've got signs all over the place. So I, as one of the council members said to me, he's not really sure that that's what they meant when they said signs, that they're thinking this is more for like a business who has this much room, and we are a huge entity that has blocks, and our signs are there for a different purpose than most businesses. So we'll see what happens when it goes back to the variance committee. Any questions on the sign? Anybody get a chance to see it?
Oh, it's in Connecticut, sorry.
One of the concerns, I think, right off the bat was it said we were forced to label it as a flashing sign. I honestly think that this wording probably goes back to when neon signs first started coming out. And I thoroughly understand why you wouldn't want one of those buzzing and flashing bright all night long. With this particular one, it has a photo sensor, so that as it gets brighter during the day, it dims the light. No, it brightens the light. As it gets darker, it dims the light. A lot of cell phones nowadays do that. So what you're looking at 10 o'clock at night or in a dark room is not nearly as bright as your phone if you're holding it outside. And so that does this.
And also it can be turned off.
Oh, and that's the other thing,
Yeah.
it can be turned off at night, and we would gladly do that. Probably, we'd say at 9:30 or 10
Yeah.
o'clock, and just every night cancel it at that time, so. I put down the future of bold, and the three things that really came to mind off the top of my head were, we need to worry about our community, our financial stability, and then our facilities. And when I'm looking at this, I think about, I put community first. I think they're all very tightly related, but the main thing that we have to worry about is our community. And when anytime I say community, I mean like Lillian, Bird Island, and Olivia, and everybody that lives in between that's part of our district. And all of this goes hand in hand. We need to live and we need to be able to work together, and we have to do that while providing for a solid education for our kids. And this is such an important thing, that a duty that we have to provide this education for kids. If our community is strong, I think our school district is strong. And I think the opposite is true. If we're not strong, it means that there's a problem in the community. And so I think first and foremost, this is what we need to address. I'm trying very hard to get back to people who have questions as soon as I can. I'm trying to provide them with whatever information that they need when they ask for. I'm totally happy to sit down and meet with people. I've met with a lot of people here in the last 3 weeks, and I'm still setting up meetings. As I said in my letter to you guys, if there are people that you want me to meet with, and not just now, but anytime, let me know. I'd be happy to call somebody up, and vice versa. Encourage people. If you hear people with concerns, or just want to say we're doing a great job, have them give me a call. I would love to sit down. They can come here, I can go to them, we can meet at the roaster or wherever and have some coffee. I'd be happy to do that. But you know, we need to do that for our community, and I think there has definitely been a lack of transparency, and I really want to work hard to end that, to fix that. I wish I could say that we're not going to make any more mistakes going forward, but as I tell the kids every year, that there is no learning without failure, and anytime you try something new, you're going to fail at it, and we need to allow for some failure. It doesn't mean that we're coming from a bad place. We're trying to do our best, and again, I think that goes back to where I invite people to come and sit down with me. I just ask that they give us the benefit of the doubt that we're trying to do the right thing and not assume that we're coming out of this from some place, some negative spot, because I am not. That's all I have to say. I'm excited to move forward.
Okay, anything else under financial stability or facilities?
Nope.
Okay. Anything on long-term? That's your last items there.
Oh, thank you.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
or in short-term, I guess.
I mean, like I say, it all goes hand in hand. Financial stability, I do wanna work with the finance committee. I think we need to set up regular meetings with them, so that we can move forward. I know what Dale was trying to say. We do need to trust our people. We've hired good people, but the problem is that we don't right now. And so we need to know what's going on. And so we need to get moving forward with meetings so that we can understand it. I met with Lindsay earlier today just to say we're gonna be meeting and we've gotta be prepared to educate at our meetings so that people understand what's happening. And if we have questions for her that we can go over at those meetings, let's put those down and let her know ahead of time. And that way she can be ready for it and then we can be ready for it as well. And as far as facilities, you know, we've got some short-term needs. There's some ventilation issues that have to be taken care of. Our roofs need some work. Our cafeteria could use some work. We're working on some of those things right now. And then of course in the long term, we do need to look at some sort of solution that's best for our kids and that's gonna be acceptable to our community. I don't know what that's gonna look like right now. I think it's safe to say that it's gonna be something to do with this existing building. But we've got our work to do on that. And I definitely want input from the community on that. I would like to see some people some community members that meet with the facilities committee. There's plenty of committees on other districts I've been at that have citizens that sit on communities, and I don't know why you wouldn't want that. You want that input if they have expertise. So, sorry I forgot about those three.
That's right.
All right,
That's all right. Just wanted to make sure you had your chance.
thank you.
All right. Number 2 is the pre-K through 12 principals report. There is no report. Mr. Benson, I'm sure, would welcome any talk or any questions if you'd like to get a hold of him. Number 3, activities report, also no report this month. I'm sure they're probably just working hard getting stuff ready for the school year to come here, which will be here before we know it. Number 4, school board committee reports and discussion. Here's the time. If anybody has anything?
Well, one of the questions you already answered, and about who calls the meetings for like the finance and facilities, so we can just contact him if we want to meet with Mr. Minton and vice versa. So that answered one of those, and my other one too, if someone would have spoke tonight, I was going to visit on that.
Okay.
And no one spoke.
All right, anything else?
I would add to that, if you are contacted by someone with a question from the community, I think it's good for the whole board. Maybe you know the answer and you answer it. I think it's a great idea to blind carbon copy the rest of the board. And as you've seen, I've done that with you guys on a few things. I think it's important that that's part of transparency. We all need to know what we're working on, and if somebody's asking you something, not something personal, and you know, certainly there are things, if it's an issue with a teacher and a kid or something like that, you know, forward that to me. You don't need to put that off to the whole board, but you know, if there are questions out there, let's let each other know what people are asking.
All right, number 5 is pool board report. It's included in our packet. I don't know if the pool board has met.
No, we have not.
Okay. Tracy did give a detailed report of what's been happening at the pool, so.
That's probably the main reason we haven't had a meeting, is because I think she's kind of going crazy.
Yeah. Summer, so, all right, moving on to new business. So, number one, approve a change to the administrative structure to have Brett Benson K-12 principal. And we probably should have said, instead of approve, as we probably are just going to talk about this, probably should have just said, talk about. But I will turn it over to Mr. Menton, who's got a little more info.
Yeah, I heard from one of you who liked the K-12 idea, was concerned about, or not concerned, I should say, but thought we should use the money, not hire a dean or anybody, use that money towards other things in our budget. I guess my response to that would be this isn't a one-person job. Last year we had 2 of us that were doing this. It's a lot of work, and the idea that one person could do all of that without any help is it's impossible. And if we could find one person that could do that, all of that, they're not going to do it for the price of one. The job is the same as last year. We haven't really changed our enrollment much, and there's a lot that goes into this. You've got your daily supervision of activities, of lunches. You've got after-school supervisions. You have IEP meetings. You've got evaluations, observations. You've got disciplinary issues that come up daily. Not necessarily always in the elementary. It's a lot of this kid's looking at me, but it's stuff you have to deal with. And just to have one person doing that, I don't think it's possible in a school this size. And I also think that having 2 principals, I love the idea. If I could have anything, I'd have another principal, but I don't think that that's cost effective. I think a dean is a much better alternative to that, because it's gonna cost a lot less, and they can do almost everything a principal can do except for evaluate teachers and suspend a kid.
What is the job description of the dean of students?
I emailed the proposed one to you.
I didn't know if you wanted to.
Oh.
Explain it.
Yeah.
Well, we put together a really long job description, but it's basically doing the main thing is to help with discipline.
But they can't do that, can they? They can't discipline
Oh,
kids.
sure.
Even the students, I didn't think
The only
were
thing
allowed to do it.
the only thing they can't do is suspend somebody.
Yeah.
We've that's the only thing that they're not allowed to do. But when it comes, if it's, giving a lunch detention or an after-school detention or something like that, yeah, they can do that.
What is the salary for a dean of students?
We would have to work that out, but
Ballpark.
I honestly don't, maybe,
The
This
little
is
bit I
obviously
looked up,
work.
it looked like it was around 70,000.
oh, no. I would, if we would take if we used Mr. Flan, I would guess, see, I hate to say this out loud, because then I get held to this.
Right.
I don't know, 15,000? Maybe 20?
That's a
Maybe
question for
10?
Lindsay when we know more
Yeah.
about it.
But
Well,
I'm-
If we had a second, that's what Brett Benson made, was 70-something thousand as elementary principal.
But he's got the principal license,
Yeah,
so the dean of students really doesn't have any principal license whatsoever.
no, they don't need,
No,
just,
they got a 4-year degree,
yeah.
that's it.
So then
So-
how does that work if, Brett becomes the K through 12, then what is his wage now, and then what does that go to after that? I mean,
again, we would have to, I haven't done anything with that because
But we should know
I,
that.
I need this, I need this to get, well, it's gonna be a lot less than if we hire another principal. And it's gonna be less than it was last year.
I think that's why he's disappointed that it says approve it today, cause he just wanted to discuss what the option was, and then we get together.
Yeah,
and
I
we
wish that had
discuss
been
it,
worded differently.
And then you say, yeah, I think we should look into it, then we look into it, and we talk to Lindsay, and then Lindsay gives you the numbers on it, so then you can come to your next meeting informed and be able to answer that question, so that's why he's disappointed it says approve, cause he actually didn't wanna approve this today. He just
Yeah.
wanted to discuss this as an option.
Yeah, I wanted your
Or
blessing.
approve an option for.
I wanted your blessing to move forward so that I could talk
And
to
if we don't think
these
that
two
works,
about.
then we would say, let's look at another option.
And as I said in my update last week, I think, you know, we can try this. If we try this for a year and it's not working, we can modify it.
That's not gonna be that easy to modify back to where you were now, then you.
No, you're right, you're right.
You're never gonna be able to modify it back, because then
you're
you'll
right.
lose somebody in that process.
Well, yeah,
Which isn't-
you can, but yes, like you said,
Yeah,
you may
and
lose
you,
this one.
you don't wanna do that either,
Yeah,
but
that's a good point.
okay, so we started with a superintendent part-time prior, we had full-time, you were full-time, Mr. Benson was full-time. So that was two full-times and a part-time.
Mm.
So why would we wanna go to 3 full-times? Cause
It's
you're
not- it's still a
full-time now,
part-time.
you're full-time, Mr. Benson would be full-time, and then you wanna put another full-time person
Well,
in
so
his spot
Half-time.
for Dean of students and bring the wage up, which to
really what,
me,
we've got a full-time activities director and we would be expanding his role into
Dean of students.
dean of
Right.
students, thank you.
So it wouldn't be a full-time dean of students.
No,
But
we would.
isn't he community ed too?
yeah, he's community ed too, so
Community
how's,
ed.
how's
I
that-
would take over the community ed to help him out.
there's
That's
no
a-
way you can possibly
that's a-
do that
that's
as
a pretty small
superintendent.
part.
I
of his
thought
job.
Zupke does that.
No,
I
some
would
rec,
rather you not.
some
I
rec
don't
and
think you
community
should
ed
do
are
that.
different.
I don't think that's an option. You've got too
I'm
much on
totally
your,
happy with not doing it.
well, you've got too much on your plate already.
Yeah.
To me, that makes no sense, cause
Right.
you're new, you've got so many things that you're trying to learn yourself, that why would we wanna put you in that position to fail? Seriously, not that you're going
No,
in,
no,
but
I know.
we're gonna say, here you are, now you're gonna do this, 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 and this. Have at it, good luck, that's not fair to you. That's not fair to you as a board here to do that to you. You need to focus on your superintendent job. Mr. Benson, or whatever, wherever you wanna go, let's just say, put him in there, he needs to focus on his portion, and that's 2 full-time people that we had only a half-time and 2 full-time before, and then you wanna put 3 full-time, to me, that's adding to the
It's
financial.
not really full-time.
Not money-wise, it's
No,
not.
money-wise,
We've
it's not.
looked-
You
we
gotta
have
take the
looked at
financial
this.
side of it out of it.
We,
and
yeah,
just be
there
focused.
was something that Dale had put together
Mhm.
with
It's actually less.
proposing this, that actually it's less than what we spent last year on administration.
And it's not a full-time dean of students.
Well, the only thing though is I don't know how we could do that if he's community ed and athletic director. I think he does it really well. Why not leave
Yeah.
him where he's at? Try Brett K through 12.
Yeah, try it for a little
Try
bit, see
him
where it
there,
goes.
because now you're with the one and you're full-time.
Yeah, cause we have 2
And then you can
full-time
help
people.
Brett.
You would
Brett
have
has
the
K through
principal,
12.
you already have the
That's what I know.
principal license and the
You still have
superintendent
to have a dean of
license.
students, I think.
And Mr. Benson would have the principal license, so you've got
I
the
guess I
2
kinda wish they
right
were
there.
here because they could probably
I
tell you.
I would
Yeah.
ask them if they think it
Yeah.
can be done,
I-
or can't be done.
Personally, I wouldn't accept the job if I were Brett. I think it,
But you had it before,
Yeah, but he
With-
had
he
elementary,
wasn't K
he
through
wasn't K
12.
through 12.
yeah,
well, you had it by yourself before K through 12.
No, he didn't,
No.
he's not
yeah,
K
7, 12. No,
Said
I've never
seven,
been
twelve.
K.
Oh, 7 to 12.
Yeah.
But there's been lots of
Yeah,
principals that have
lots
done
of
K through 12.
Yeah,
It's like
it's-
this is
But they
not-
usually have a dean of students.
Yeah, in a,
No.
Not typical.
No,
So,
no,
when
they
I-
have
Do we know that for
assistant
sure?
principals.
Where do we
This
know
is-
that?
They're the state is
All right,
the one
This
that's
is just a terrible
away from-
conversation, it's
Yeah.
just all
Continue
conjecture
to-
that you think you know and we hope we know, but we don't know.
Well, that's,
So then maybe-
that's why you have discussions, is
Right.
discussing
Can we
it.
table
Discuss with
both
information,
1 and 1A?
not with I don't think some schools do, well, some do, I don't think they all do.
we
Well,
could,
then let's look into
Just-
it.
Yeah,
That's
let's,
it, right there.
we
Yeah.
could table it, we need,
I know,
we need a
That's what we
solution.
gotta do.
Well, you have to
Well, then
start
let's get
approving
together.
something, of like, because like what you're saying, you have to do something, you have to keep moving forward with this.
Yep.
If you're not gonna approve having a full-time, like, take the names out of it, right? If you're not
This-
gonna have a
Right.
full-time person, like, don't even think of Derek Flynn, if you're not gonna have, if you're gonna approve, you should approve a K through 12 principal and a dean of students.
It doesn't
If that's the way
matter
we're
who
gonna
it
go about
is.
it.
you're still gonna put the money out there. And then we, as a finance committee, should be looking at the numbers and saying, where are we at, what are we doing, before we even approve any of this.
Well, I'm
You
just saying,
don't-
like, with the, we got, back in, whenever it was, we got something saying if this is the way it was gonna go,
Or
it was
there-
cheaper.
these are, yeah,
Yeah,
this is
this is
possible.
what it would be.
This is a
No,
possibility.
that was the meeting you all were at that we weren't at, that they had,
Well-
he had, Mr. Brandside brought that up.
Let's keep it cordial here. I think that if, we sort of have to put names to this, because I don't see anybody else that could fit a dean of students into their
Schedule.
position, other than the activity director. And I know that there are quite a few AD dean of students positions around. I know, talking up in Benson, that works well for them. The thing that's nice about both of those positions is there's not anything that has to happen at a specific time of day. If you combine it with say a part-time teacher, part-time AD, well, they've got classes scheduled throughout the day where they're not available to help. And if there's an emergency situation, a fight or something like that, you need somebody that can deal with that right now. And so it doesn't work well for a teacher. It's done, but it just fits so much better with the activities director position.
Both like Hector did it until they, like, when they had a full-time soup and then they had a K through 12, and then they had a dean of students. I know Dan Kraus used to do it, and then they switched and went to part-time, but they used to do it.
Then we're still gonna end up looking for a community ed.
I
So
guess
you've got another
propose-
position open there somewhere.
I propose right now that we table this and the finance committee meets about this within the I say no more than 2 weeks. If we have to have a special meeting for this, then let's do that. But I would say no more than 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think we'd have to meet next Monday.
No, I'm not gonna be around.
Well,
Who
then
has
I'll-
to meet
next
the
Monday?
finance.
The finance.
Well, Monday's the day that Lindsay's here, although she wasn't.
Because I guess
planning.
if Tracy and
Teresa are here.
Teresa can be here, that we have to move forward,
Yeah.
so,
No, I wanna be there.
well,
I wanna
then,
be there. So let's do it the 9th, if she's here on Monday.
Can you call in? I mean, to
Well, I
that
don't
meeting?
know, cause we're not allowed to do Zooms now, are we?
it's a committee meeting.
Yeah, we
It's
could-
a committee meeting.
We can, yeah, and you can have somebody's, I checked in, there was a MSBA thing I attended and they talked about that. You can,
The 9th works for me too.
you can have somebody Zoom in.
Well, you've
That-
always
I'm
been,
just-
like, you could
Requirements for it.
zoom in,
Yes.
you could zoom in
We've always
if
been
you,
able to.
but yeah, you just
If
have
you,
to
like,
post
for me,
it.
I'm thinking if,
I can do it the 9th.
and then when you would have the special meeting,
The 9th works for me too.
Ninth.
cause that's the week of the fair, just so you know, so none of that works for me.
Well, then it, maybe, yeah,
But you're not on finance.
You're not on
I'm saying to
finance.
decide.
no, for the
The board meeting.
special board meeting.
For the special board meeting. I'm
I
on
thought
the-
this was a finance
Yeah,
committee meeting.
Correct, but what I'm
Yes.
saying is you
Next
have
meeting.
your
She's at a
finance
different
meeting,
than you're-
then
So
we
we-
have a special meeting to discuss and fit and vote on this. And that week is the week of the fair, I am out, I am at the fairgrounds every night.
We'll
We-
do ours and then you can
Teresa,
have
but
yours
then you're in the
again.
third week in August, school starts 2 weeks later,
Well, the
and
23rd.
you don't have much time.
The 23rd
Well, I think
would
it's
be our-
important that the finance committee
I
gets together
understand
for
that,
this.
Sandy, but I'm saying if you could call in, then that, if you can do it Monday, that would be awesome, then we could do it like that next week. Then we don't have to get into
It's only 1 month.
2 weeks away. But for you it is, but then I can't be here because I'm gone for the fair.
The
Well, can you
23rd,
call in?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
the
Well, I'm
20th,
on vacation that
Yeah,
Monday.
But I'm saying, Sandy, I'm working at the fairgrounds every night, there's no way I can call in.
the 23rd is our next regular, I guess, if need be, it'll have to happen on the 23rd. And I just hope we will all be in agreement at that point. So please do the work before then. And to find out, ultimately, I
What
mean,
time on the 9th?
I'll, let me just throw something down and I will.
Well, you better find out from Tracy too, she's part of that, so I think you should probably throw an email
Could
out.
put
to
an
her.
email.
ultimately, how this is structured is administrative. That is my understanding.
It does say in my job description as superintendent that putting together an administrative team is
Yeah.
is
it's one of my
under your
first
job.
job duties.
Yes.
Now, that does have to be approved by the school
Yes.
board. But I'd rather not just throw something together without some sort of decent
That's why I asked
consensus
if
on
this
it.
was administrative decision, because.
It is, but it's a little bit different because it's a new position we're creating.
Right.
If this were existing positions, this would be very different. In fact, if it were just a K-12 principal, we'd probably be okay with that. But because we do need, in my opinion, it's an impossible job to do without support. So I'm asking that we add that dean of students position, and that would take your approval. And I guess I was hoping to do that, get that tonight, so that I can move forward with organizing it. We've already started, to be honest, because I didn't think this would be a problem.
So essentially, you could be looking at rehiring 3 new positions, two new positions if we don't approve this. You could be potentially looking at hiring a K through 12.
Well, they still have their
But
position.
I'm just saying, Jill, if Brett says, no, I don't wanna just be K through 12 and not have a dean of students, and he walks away, now we have to find a K through 12 principal. If Derek says, well, this is the way I wanted it to be, because this is what we talked about, and he walks away, now we need an AD and a community ed person and a dean of students.
Well, maybe they should have planned this all before they checked with the finance committee also, Jamie. Everything here in the last 6 to 8 months has been rush, go, do. Everything has to be at the last minute. Everything comes to us at the last minute because we have to do it right today, we gotta do it right now. That's part of our problem.
I did
It's
mention
not-
this, I sent this to you guys 2 weeks ago in an email.
Right,
I wish we could have, that's why I didn't think this was gonna be a problem. I'd only heard back from one of you with any question on this.
but usually we discuss it before we do it, that's usually my thought, and we even talked about having a finance committee meeting before this even went through, and nobody ever contacted us. Did you get anything? I
But
didn't
you can
either.
request, that's what I would send out and just say, we're having a
We
facility
tried
committee.
that numerous times with Mr. Bransoy about all this.
Mr. Bransoy is no longer here, Sandy.
I just have
Over-
one, just a short question. What is the financial side of it? What, are you concerned that it'll cost more?
No, I just wanna see
Okay,
where the
that's all.
numbers are
I'm just
gonna
wondering
be.
the financial
What-
part of it.
Yes, I'm a numbers person, and I wanna see all the numbers in front of me, just
But
to
you're
look
not
at
as
them all.
concerned about how much it'll cost, you're just more concerned about seeing the numbers, or?
No, I just
would
wanna
you be
look at it
happy?
all, and I wanna
Okay.
discuss things,
Yeah,
because
that's good.
we have not, as a finance committee for the last year and a half, have been shunned to the side.
Yeah.
And every little piece of financial stuff that's gone on here we've been kicked out of the office and told to move on.
Okay, and
That's
now it's
what's
different,
what's
so
happening.
let's.
Now you're having a meeting.
So now-
Let's-
we
I
asked
really
for
wanna-
one.
I really want us to move forward with stuff.
Okay, so
I
let's have a
promise.
meeting, and let's go.
I promise I'm not gonna
On the
act that
ninth.
way. I promise.
Oh,
I guess I
And I think
also-
you believe me.
I believe you,
I
I
know.
believe you, but I would've liked to get together with
Yeah.
us and
I
just,
also want to make sure though that your administrative rights are, we're not just telling him what to do.
no, but we should
So-
be able to discuss it.
Yeah, and discussion is fine.
Yeah,
Table until, I'm putting table until August meeting, so whether that is the 23rd, or if we can get something planned ahead of time, that is,
Okay,
I think, probably the wisest.
can we look at the 9th, see if Tracy's available on the 9th?
Yeah.
Cause I don't think we're gonna get any answers tonight to get any further along, unfortunately.
So do you have to have a motion for tabling in a second?
No.
I guess I don't really have a problem with the K through 12 principal. My frustration is, students financially, I wanna see where that's all gonna land. And I wanna see the dollar amounts that Brett, well,
If-
actually, yeah, what,
If we
I
could
do
do it,
kinda-
if we could do it, spending less than we did last year for our administrative team altogether, would you be okay with that?
I wanna see the numbers.
yeah, me too, and then we.
And I wanna
we have
do
to
some
look for,
estimate
community
discussion.
ed person too, so that's gonna change
Yeah.
things there too.
Because
No, we don't, he can still.
That's an
be-
administrative decision.
So he'd be AD, community ed, and he'd be
And?
the students?
there's, I can't see
Okay,
that.
administrative decision again.
But think about it, right now, he's got, Brittany Luigi helping him, he's got Matt Zupke. So if he's
Matt-
supposed to be doing these jobs, then he's
Matt,
always having assistants.
That's different, summer rec is
Yeah.
not community ed, it's not the same thing.
Summer rec.
Yeah, Matt just runs the summer rec.
That's what Matt Ducky does, he does
Okay.
summer rec.
But
Just
So who does all the
exactly
rest?
same thing.
Brittany?
That falls
Brittany
under
does all the other
community.
It
Yeah.
does, but I mean, it's not,
So,
it doesn't have to, it's a different
These would be great
director
questions for
position.
Brittany and
Yeah.
Derek.
So,
But it still comes out of the community at.
Yeah,
I mean, you should give them a
Yeah.
call.
Yeah.
That's what you
But
should.
Melissa
think
always
we
had
should
somebody
talk
to talk
them
to.
too.
well,
it does, but I think
director.
what Jill's saying is that
It's
the
not.
community
From
director
finance
doesn't
side.
organize all of
You
that.
could just
Yeah.
call them up and what their
That,
job.
Matt's up
Matt's
See if
to
they
it.
think
I
they can
have.
do the job.
He does all of the hiring and
Yep.
If they
everything.
can do it, if they think they can
It
do it.
is under Derek's umbrella.
Without
I don't do their
Yes.
job, so I don't
Yeah.
have any idea what it
To
would
me,
take.
that just seems too much for one person.
Okay, so what are we doing here, folks?
I don't want to table it, but
Let's-
that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I'd be
we
willing to
gotta
meet on the
discuss
ninth.
finance. Just, it's being cut real close,
Too close for comfort.
but that's, yeah.
So, just so we know, moving forward, at least until we meet and ratify this or what, Brett Benson is gonna be doing the K-12 principal job with planning and organizing as the school year approaches. Just because I don't have time to do that, and I'm happy to help him, but he's gonna be doing this. Just so we know, I don't want that to be a surprise to anybody.
Right. All right,
So
so
is
hopefully.
he doing this not knowing what his wage is gonna be or anything, or?
Right,
Okay.
Yep, and I've talked to them both about this and said, I'm not moving forward with this until the board okays this proposal.
So do you think finance committee could meet this week so that we can,
I can try,
I would like that better, so then we can decide next week.
I can try, we've got the teacher negotiations on Wednesday. It'll almost have to, if Lindsay can do it, it would almost have to be at night, cause she's got 4 other districts she works for.
No, I know, I'm just wondering if we could,
Well, we got negotiations Wednesday.
Yep, negotiations Wednesday, I could do
but
it.
she's part of that usually, isn't she?
no, not always.
No, she's on vacation.
Again?
I know,
Who
again.
lets her have vacations?
Good for her.
I
know,
told her
it is
that
good
too.
for her. It is good for her.
She called in on her last.
So no,
Alright,
she will not be available this week because of that.
Okay,
Well, let's just try the ninth and see what
Yeah,
happens.
I think that's. a
Get
good
it
idea.
done right
That
on
works.
the ninth. And then maybe we can, Or-
I will figure out a way, if you wanna have a meeting that week, I will figure out a way, as
well,
long as you do not have the
I'm
nights
also on
of the
vacation
fair.
that week, but,
Well,
I mean,
I know,
I guess.
that's what I'm saying, when I was on vacation, I called into a lot of meetings, but I'm saying, I will figure out a way as long as it's not Thursday or Friday, cause I cannot step away from fair.
Right.
I can step away from setting up, but I cannot step away from fair night. So if we do that, you guys have your meeting on Monday, we have a meeting that week, it has to be Tuesday or Wednesday for me.
What nights are,
Well, what
can
about,
we do
what
it the
about,
Tuesday or-
fourth, fifth, or
Tuesday or
sixth,
Wednesday?
somewhere in there?
what about Monday night? Well, if you're not having your finance committee till the ninth,
Right.
the 4th, 5th, or 6th aren't gonna be good, are
Oh,
they?
yeah, I suppose, yeah.
Okay.
Or we could do it the finance committee meeting, fourth, fifth, or sixth, somewhere in there,
But
and then,
Lindsay's here on,
Monday.
if you want Lindsay
Monday.
here, she's here on Monday.
and I've already put it,
okay,
yeah.
So if we're gonna meet the week of the fair, it has to be Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, cause
Well,
the rest,
I would say that Monday night then,
yes,
and I will
Okay.
be out of town, but
you'll call in,
I can.
thank you.
What's that Monday?
It's the August 9th.
Are you here during the day? Or when do you leave, Joe?
We leave Sunday. So, we're gonna table this until Monday, August 9th. Facilities committee will meet before then, or finance committee,
What
on
time?
finance.
what time is
You
it?
need to check with Tracy first before your finance committee meets, or do you schedule
Yeah.
that?
Yeah,
And Lindsay
this
will
is
be-
Tentative.
contingent upon
Yeah,
us being able to meet with Lindsay. Is it okay if I text her right now?
yeah,
Mhm.
sure is. Alright,
Can
I'm
we
gonna
text
move on,
Tracy?
if it's okay, to number 2.
No, just ask Lindsay.
Approve a resolution relating to the election of school board members calling the school district special election. It's enclosure number 1. And
So moved.
as it is a resolution, it. So,
You
has
read
been.
the whole thing?
I believe so, it's a resolution.
Oh, no, I have to-
So, resolution relating to the election of school board members and calling the school district special election has been, let me look at the wording on this for, member Bowen introduced the following resolution and moved its adoption. Be it resolved by the school board of Independent School District number 2534, state of Minnesota as follows. Number one, it is necessary for the school district to hold its special election for the purposes of electing one school board member for terms of 3 years, for a term of 3 years. The clerk shall include on the ballot the names of the individuals who file affidavits of candidacy on said special election during the period for filing such affidavits as though they have been included by name in this resolution. The clerk shall not include on the ballot the names of individuals who file timely affidavits or withdrawal in the manner specified by law. Number two, special election is hereby called and elected to be held in conjunction with the state general election on Tuesday, the second day of November 2021. Number three, pursuant to Minnesota statute section 205A, point 11, the precincts and polling places for the special election, those polling places and precincts on parts of precincts located within the boundaries of the school district which have been established by the cities or towns located in whole or in part within the school district. The voting hours of those at those polling places shall be the same as for the state general election. Number four, the clerk is hereby authorized and directed to cause written notice of said special election to be provided to the county auditor of each county in which the school district is located, in whole or in part, at least 74 days before the election of said election, for the date of said election. The notice shall include the date of said special election and the office or offices to be voted on at said special election. The clerk is hereby authorized and directed to cause notice of said special election to be posted at the administrative offices of the school district at least 10 days before the date of the said special election. The clerk is hereby authorized and directed to cause a sample ballot to be posted at the administrative offices of the school district at least 4 days before the date of said special election, and to cause a sample ballot to be posted at each polling place on election day. The sample ballot shall not be printed on the same color paper as the official ballot. The sample ballot for a polling place must reflect the offices, candidates, and rotation sequence on the ballots used in that polling place. The clerk is hereby authorized and directed to cause notice of said special election to be published in the official newspaper of the school district for 2 consecutive weeks with the last publication being at least 1 week before the date of said election. The notice of election so posted and published shall state the offices to be filed set forth in the form of ballot below, and shall include information concerning each established precinct and polling place. The clerk is authorized and directed to cause the rules and instructions for use of the optical scan voting system to be posted in each polling place on election day. Number five, the clerk is authorized and directed to acquire and distribute such election material as may be necessary for the proper conduct of this election, and especially to cooperate with the election authorities conducting other elections on that date. The clerk and members of the administration are authorized and directed to take such action as may be necessary to coordinate this election with those other elections, including entering into agreements or understandings with appropriate election officials regarding preparation and distribution of ballots, election administration, and cost sharing. Number six, the clerk is fully authorized and directed to cause or to cooperate with the proper election officials to cause ballots to be prepared for use at said election in substantially the following form, with such changes in form, color, and instruction as may be necessary to accommodate an optical scanning voting system. School district ballot, Independent School District number 2534, bold special election, November 2nd, 2021. The instructions to voters will be to vote, completely fill in the oval, because yours will only give you one. Well, I mean, you only vote for one, yeah, sorry. Fill in the oval next to your choice like this. School board member vote up to 1. Your candidates, any write-ins if necessary. Optical scan ballots must be printed in black ink on white material, except that marks to be read by the optical.
Automatic.
Oh, yeah, the automatic tabulating equipment may be printed in another color of ink. The name of the precinct and machine readable identification must be printed on each ballot. Voting instructions must be printed on the top of the ballot. On each side that includes ballot information, the instructions must include an illustration of the proper mark to be used to indicate a vote. Lines for initials or at least 2 election judges must be printed on one side of the ballot so that the judge's initials are visible when the ballots are enclosed in a secrecy sleeve. Number 7, the name of each candidate for office at this election shall be rotated with the names of other candidates for the same office in the manner specified in Minnesota law. Number 8, if the school district will be contracting to print ballots for this election, the clerk is hereby authorized and directed to prepare instructions to the printer for the layout of the ballot. Before contract in excess of $1,000 is awarded for printing ballots, the printer shall furnish, in accordance with Minnesota State Statute, sections 204D.04, a sufficient bond, letter of credit, or certified check acceptable to the clerk in an amount not less than $1,000, conditioned on printing the ballots in conformity with the Minnesota election law and the instructions delivered. The clerk shall set the amount of the bond, letter of credit, or certified check in amount equal to the value of the purchase. Number 9, even year. The individuals designated as judges for the state special elections shall act as election judges for this election for the various polling places and shall conduct said election in a manner described by law. The election judges shall act as clerks of the election, count the ballots cast, and submit them to the school board for canvass in the manner provided for other school district elections. And the motion for the adoption of following resolution was duly seconded by member Ballot. And upon a vote taken thereon, the following voted in favor thereof. Sandy, would you like to vote for this, the resolution?
Yeah, I got a question.
Okay.
Does
any
this happen
questions?
every year, every time we do this? Or is this just
This
something?
is a special election, we haven't
Right,
done one
but
of these.
no, but I mean, when there is a special election, this
We
same
haven't
thing
had a
is-
special election.
I'm assuming
The
so.
general election, yeah.
Okay.
We haven't
And-
had a special election for a school board member in a long
So
time.
where do you get this information to run it through?
Joy,
MSBA.
yep.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Can I ask just what's been done in the past when someone's resigned? Same thing? Or you
Well,
said
this
you've
is,
never done
there's
this
3
before?
years left of her term, so that's why we're doing this, so,
It's a longer stretch.
yeah. If it was less than a year, we could either leave it blank or we could appoint someone. But because there's 3 years left, we have to take it to a special election, so. Alright, any other questions? Hearing nothing else, we're gonna vote. Sandy,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
Jamie,
Aye.
Teresa,
Aye.
and I myself, I am an aye. Motion carries. Alright, moving on, number 3, approve Conway Booth and Schmiesing, PLLP, to provide our audit service for the year ending June 30th, 2021.
So moved.
Motion is made by Bowen,
Second.
seconded by Benson. Any questions or discussion? This is who I believe has been doing it.
I got one question. How come it says Roseville on the top?
What are you looking at?
That's this?
We're not to that yet.
Oh, I thought this,
Yeah, that's not what this says.
Oh.
This is the LTFM. right?
Okay.
This is enclosure number 2. That's the next item. Okay. This
Oh.
is who has been providing our audit.
gotcha. Okay,
audit
sorry.
For
I'm
years,
ahead
so
of the game.
it's okay. Any other questions? Hearing nothing else, we will vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 4, approve the long-term facilities maintenance program update. That's enclosure number 2.
So moved, William.
Motion is made by Boleen.
Second Benson.
Okay, seconded by Benson. Any questions?
No, that's it.
I'd like to table this too until the finance committee can look at it too a little bit before approving it.
Okay.
It's a maintenance program update, or not the
Mr.
finance, but the facility committee.
Well, it is an update. And you had some notes on this?
Yeah, this is just over the past year, we've typically have been using the monies available just to make maintenance, do maintenance, and now we've got some a roof project that's been coming up, so for the last 2 years, they've been taking money that's been left over at the end of the year and reserving that, so that we'll be using that money to, and some current revenue to do this roofing project that you would see for $400,000 on 1, 2, 3, pull up page back.
That's where I have some questions on is because,
Does this have to be rushed? I mean, does this have to be?
right,
There's some urgency to this, but
well, my question is that, okay, so as far as the roof, nothing's gonna be done this year of 2021, so not until 2022 will the 400,000 be spent.
yeah, this is 2022 now.
You're in fiscal 2020.
Okay.
Yep.
Fine, so then there's nothing done for any roofs or anything until 2027, and that's only 80,000 put there. And then for site projects, which the facility committee, I have no idea what the site projects would be, because out in 2024, there's 200,000 for a site project and another 48,000 in 2025, and then nothing until 2028 for another 50,000. It'd be nice to know what those site projects are for, and if we need stuff done before that, it'd be nice for the facility committee to get together, because if we have to go for, bear with me, I get operational referendum mixed up, a bond for
Building.
repairs, maybe we need to step this up and go for something with the community to, you know, if there's more major problems in there that need to be addressed, than to wait so long in between, that's my only concern.
I think that money is like what Lindsay talked about, that's like the designated, this is where it will be, where you can do things in X amount of years. She had talked to us about that.
Yep, and
So
I
that's
get
what
that, but I
is.
think as a facility committee, I think she gives you guidelines and shows you what you can do, but I think
We can afford.
the facility committee then makes the decision with the board, or brings it to the board with suggestions as to maybe that's too far out where we have to go for a bond.
Well, and we also have to not cut out our people that work here and do the I mean, because
And
that's
if we're-
also Denny's, you know,
Right, no,
purview
and
as well, so.
no one's cutting
Right.
anybody out.
Oh, I guess we just have to remember that, because
But
has
as a
been-
board, we have to make those final decisions.
Well,
We just
right-
approved Denny's recommendation more than less. Is the way I guess I would look at it. We sit down and listen to what he thinks are the projects that need to be done, and
But the board decides the ultimate, because he can recommend all he wants, but as a
Mhm.
board, we have to decide what's
Yep,
best for the community.
that's exactly right.
Mhm.
So right now, this is an update, and I, you know, what we're approving would be the long-term facilities maintenance program update.
I'd like to table that until we have a facility committee meeting to look over that and then bring something else back to the board.
Cause you could also, well, so you're gonna redo this? I mean, that's what I'm
That's where.
I'm assuming that there's been some time put in
No,
on this
if
by.
we're already gonna have a special meeting coming up, I don't see any,
We might as well
Okay,
just
well, I
push
already
it
have a
off.
Jill?
motion and a second,
Jill,
so,
so.
yeah,
the LTFM is due to MDE by July 31st.
that's,
Oh, this one is July 31st, okay.
that's why.
Yeah,
It was short notice because Lindsay didn't get all the information until just recently to get this on here. She wasn't given the information, and then they're asking for it back very quickly
Where does she usually get the information from?
from MDE.
So my guess though is that
So-
there could be changes to this. I mean, I don't know that for certain, but I mean, usually there is a ability to like our budget can be revised. I would believe this could be
Yeah.
revised as well.
Absolutely. Denny's got a maintenance plan that they plug these numbers in from that. I don't wanna talk too much more about that because I'm starting to talk about
Right,
what I've not.
things that aren't in your area.
This
Well,
was
and-
last year, 5/12/21.
Okay, and right now, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve this. And I definitely do want the finance committee to work with it, but I also want it to be approved on time if it needs to, wanna comply with what the state of Minnesota is asking us to do, and I understand. But I think that the finance committee could also, ask questions and,
And facilities.
yeah, facilities, finance.
Yeah.
So who puts the numbers in here, come from the MDE? I'm not getting where the
Well,
numbers come
that's
from.
maybe.
The
what you're
numbers
gonna
come
have
from
to ask.
Lindsay, correct?
Yes.
So where does MDE come into place then?
These are all good questions.
Yeah, these are great
for
questions.
Lindsay.
I don't know the answer to
Yeah.
that.
Do you know that?
I know they make the spreadsheet. That's the best I can give you right now.
So someone has to, along the line here, decide what year we're gonna do what.
Yep,
I would
Yeah.
assume.
A lot of this is, it's the big picture plan, and then that does get modified, like the $400,000 for the roof. It's probably not gonna cost $400,000, but there's no way it's gonna cost.
It's monies that are
A lot
allocated
less than
during
that.
that time for
Well, which,
what's
we
coming
know,
in.
I mean, I get that. I'm
But I
just-
thought the last time Denny came to us, he mentioned that there's way over $400,000 worth of roofs that need to be done.
But that's probably just one roof.
Yeah, when you schedule it out,
Yeah.
there is, but
That's just one roof.
I was told 2 years ago that we had about $2 million worth of roofs when we had 2 buildings.
Okay, but that's why I'm saying, this is exactly why we.
but I
do
don't think
stuff.
this is necessarily, this is something that we need to provide for the state, correct? I mean, it's not necessarily saying this
It's
is
not
all
set
we're
in
doing.
stone, that's all you can
Yeah,
do.
I mean,
This is how we get our funding
Because-
from the
right.
state.
right,
Oh.
to
And
get
So
that
they
funding.
wanna see,
Yes.
yeah, 'cause
We have-
So Lindsay knows where to put the numbers to get your funding,
Yes.
to get what you
Yes.
need for
So-
certain things.
I know this, she texted, or
Okay,
she called me at the end of last week and said, go to the state website, you gotta log in here and accept this money, and
okay.
it
then-
was exciting,
so
one
sh-
day I accepted like $1 million, I was pretty excited about
So
it.
anything over and above what the district can actually afford with what the monies we have now, we have to go to a bond. This is just was what the district has in monies right now that we can afford to do. That's-
This is showing the state how we plan on spending
This is
the
our
money
game
they
plan.
give us each year,
This is a-
Right.
The money they
long-term
give us.
facilities
for
maintenance.
LTFM,
But
yeah.
if
But
this
we also
doesn't
have
cover-
different, in the budget, we have different
Right.
monies that are
Right.
But
allocated.
if this doesn't cover all our needs, we have to go.
It's
for
not
it.
So
gonna
there's,
cover all your needs.
yeah, there's
Right.
2 ways to do that. You can put money in reserve, and that's what we've been doing. That's how we're gonna afford the $400,000 this year, by reserving money that we didn't spend last year and the year before. But then this is also money from the state. They give us all of this on the condition that we give them an idea of how we are going to spend that. Cause there are certain things you can spend it on, certain things you cannot. If we said we were gonna use this to
Pay teachers,
pay teachers, they'd say, no, sorry.
So that's what we're looking at here, so I think it's,
So it must be something that she calculates out, knows what they've got available, and she puts the numbers in to figure,
Yeah,
Right.
and she
to
sits
help
down
us
with.
get a bigger dollar amount, basically, to
To
say,
maximize,
we've got,
yeah.
to maximize the funds that are there.
Yep.
okay,
Okay, well, that makes sense.
Well, and that's a good way to say it.
Yeah,
okay, so we do have a motion and second on this, I guess I would like to move
Yeah.
forward with it so we can
I'm fine with that.
comply with, so, alright, if nothing else needs to be said, we will vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say nay.
Nay.
Motion carries.
And I'll call a facilities committee meeting for as soon as we, maybe not as soon as we can, but in the next few weeks here, and we can take a look at this, and we can take a look at some other things that we've got pressing.
Okay. Alright, number 5, set 2021-2022 admission prices for the school musical. Students grades K through 12, single ticket is 4, adult single ticket is 6. This has not changed.
So moved.
Motion is made by Bowman,
Second.
seconded by Boleen. Any discussion or questions? Hearing nothing, we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Number 6, set the 2021-2022 band instrument rental fees, 5 through 12 for instruments is $50, percussion, bells, synthesizer, 5 and 6 is 12, 7 and 8 grades are 20, 9 through 12 is 25. And I believe, yes, yeah, 5 through 12, never mind. This also has not changed. Collected fee proceeds will be placed into the general fund and will be used for future repairs of district instruments.
So Boleen?
Motion's made by Boleen,
I'll second it.
seconded by Bowen. Any discussion or questions?
It's always been put in what you said, that's never changed, it's always been put in the general.
No.
Hmm. Why don't they put it in a band fund of some sort?
Well, but you gotta have money to pay for the repairs, cause things get broken.
No, I know, but like in, like,
I think it is.
some kind of account.
Yeah, it is,
that
it is
goes
put
into-
into an account, so
For
it's a
band.
student,
It's tabbed
this would
for
be
that.
considered a co-curricular activity, so it would go into a co-curricular activity
Okay,
account.
that's what I wanna know.
Anything else? Hearing nothing else, we will vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 7, approve the elementary student handbook, enclosure number 3. I believe any and all changes were in yellow. So, and, obviously meal prices, those just went up a little bit as per what we have to do, for federal guidelines.
Were those updated today?
And there's a visiting,
The meal prices are gonna change a little bit from this. I don't know off the top of my head what they are, but just so you know, the meal prices they'll go up a little bit, but they're gonna be paid for by the feds.
yeah,
So really, they won't come out of anybody's pocket.
So,
this point.
so here's the deal, they won't come out of anybody's pocket, but we have to,
you have to
we
still
have to
keep
keep
raising that.
up,
Yes.
and we talked about this for a while today, that, are people going to, the following year, when it's not free any longer, are they gonna be surprised because it's a 20, I'm just throwing a number out here, are they gonna be surprised when it's a 20-cent jump from what it was last year? And I said, well, maybe, but they have to understand that we had to raise it 10 cents this year to
Well, to
keep up
comply
with-
with what you're supposed to do.
Well, I think if
every
they're paying for groceries, they'll realize we have to, because groceries,
Right.
Well-
they'll think this
He's
is pretty
gone
cheap
on.
to feed their kids, they probably wanna send them all year round.
As you know, as a board member, people don't always,
Right, but.
And the state
look at
sets the
little
limit on
scheme
what
of
you can raise it.
yeah. Yes, yeah, and so we would be looking at, and we're actually okay at the high school, the elementary is a little bit underfunded, so that's why I said, let's just keep raising it. And I'm always a big proponent of small increments rather than keeping something the same cost for 10 years and then you have to raise it $100.
So are you saying that we should maybe table this until you can make sure the prices are right, or?
No, this happens almost every year where we have
Okay.
to change the prices in
Okay.
here.
All right.
So I have a quick question too, as
Okay.
far as that, this is the elementary handbook, when does the high school handbook come out?
We did that last,
Oh, so I missed that one, okay, I was gonna look, under, the Pledge of Allegiance, they say that the elementary students do our high school students say the Pledge of Allegiance?
we typically do not.
Okay, is there any reason why we can't have the high school kids do it? Because in here too, it says that anyone who does not wish to participate reciting the Pledge of Allegiance for any personal reason may let the staff know of this wish and then sit or whatever. But I'm just, I think it would be a really good idea to have the high school kids do it too, because they're doing it all the while they're in elementary, why the break after elementary and then not do it anymore? And then just as a gesture of, how can I say, what's the word I'm looking for? When, I just think the school board, we should just say it before our meetings too.
A lot of school boards do.
So those are my 2 things I would recommend, that we get that in the high school handbook and then say it before the.
I almost forgot to read the mission statement too. So,
Yep.
all right, well,
You're gonna have to put a flag in here if you do that, just so you know.
That's okay.
And every classroom's gonna have to have one.
Yeah, every classroom has a flag.
Even high school?
They should.
Can you relook at that then, and I would hope it's not a concern, but to separate church and state, you know, does that make somebody stand out if they decide to sit down and not do it, and while
Well,
a
it's-
larger group are doing it?
I don't think so, I think it's saying that, you know, for any personal reason, you can sit down.
I'll
if
tell you
don't-
personally why I didn't have us do it. I'm very patriotic and I think it's important. But I know that people like to make controversies over stuff like this. And I hated the idea of putting this out there and making it something where somebody's gonna kneel or sit during the Pledge of Allegiance and then just making a big issue of it. And I just decided, to me, I wanted to avoid that disrespectful situation in the first place. And that's why I never really pushed to do it.
And the reason that I'm bringing it up is because I think, we need to start making a stand and standing up for what we believe in, just because there's a small majority that's trying to make decisions for the bigger majority. I just feel it's respectful for our country. Our country is built on the United States flag. And, we have people fight and give their lives. I mean, it's just not some frivolous little thing. I think it's very important, and it shows respect.
I definitely agree with that.
Yep, it does.
And I'm willing to defend
But
that.
I know that we're gonna cause a situation where, and I hate that.
The
To
only
me, it
thing
makes,
is,
it
if
makes me.
it's gonna start now, then what's gonna be the next thing?
Okay.
And then what's the next thing
Let's
after
come
that?
back to, I mean, in good discussion, but let's come back to the approving the elementary student handbook, cause that's what we need to do tonight, so we can
Thank you.
definitely,
Thank
well,
you,
we can
Rachel.
definitely continue
Yep.
these discussions, maybe not right now at this one. So approving the elementary student handbook.
So moved.
Motion is made by Bowen,
Second,
seconded by Benson. Any further discussion?
Yes, I would like to have that added in on the next agenda for discussion, for the high school handbook and for the school board.
All right, I'll make a note of that for the next meeting.
And then maybe that we purchase a United States flag for any.
Anything else?
There's one around the corner.
Is there? Okay.
Let's move in.
All right.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 8, number 8 is the first reading of policy number 102, equal educational opportunity. It's enclosure number 4. As this is, we approve after the second reading, and so this is just the first reading, so if there are any questions on anything here, please ask Mr. Menton. Number 9 is also the first reading of policy 401, which is an equal employment opportunity. It's enclosure number 5. Any questions that have popped up now or within reading it, please?
wow, we gotta read all 5 of these?
No, not tonight.
Oh.
No,
Well, tonight would be considered the first reading. You can.
yeah. And
We're not gonna force Jill
I'm
to.
not reading on the second, I barely got through that resolution.
It was hard enough to read to myself the first time.
Yeah. Second reading, or first reading of policy 402, which is the disability non-discrimination policy, closure number 6. Number 11, first reading of policy number 532, use of peace officers and crisis teams to remove students with IEPs from school grounds. It's enclosure number 7. And then number 12 is the first reading of policy 713, student activity accounting. So if any questions on any of those that you've reading, I did ask Mr. Menton about number, 11, the first reading of policy 532, because I figured that one would probably get some people, the use of peace officers and crisis teams to remove students with IEPs from school grounds. And he explained that to me, so. So if you have any questions, obviously next month will be the second reading of those. There's always more policies to keep up with, so.
And I guess my explanation here, 'cause she asked me right before the board meeting, was just that it puts it in writing that if there's a kid who's at risk of harming himself or someone else, it allows us to intervene and physically move them so that they are not
Well, and especially if they have
at risk of harming
an
someone.
IEP, which is an individual educational plan,
Yeah,
so. All right, so now we're on to number 9, acknowledge and accept gifts, grants, and requests. And we have one here, member Pauline introduced the following resolution and moved its adoption. Whereas rural computer consultants have generously donated $465 towards the Bold First Robotics team, therefore be it resolved by the Bold School Board to gratefully accept this gift. The motion for the adoption of the foregoing resolution was duly seconded by member Benson. And upon a vote being taken thereon, the following voted in favor thereof. Teresa.
Aye.
Jamie.
Aye.
Brian. Sandy. And I myself, I am an aye. This foregoing resolution was approved this 26th day of July 2021, and thank you to Rural Computer Consultants for their donation. All right, number 10, upcoming dates. I guess at this point, we are looking at a possible Monday, August 9th meeting. Probably would be a 7 o'clock meeting, unless that is known different. And August 23rd, 2021, school board meeting, regular school board meeting, 7 o'clock, right here. And with that, that's all we have on our agenda.
I will say with upcoming dates, I'll get some committee meetings set up.
Okay.
And I would actually like to, a lot of superintendents I've talked to, they have kind of a set monthly meeting with each individual board member. I would love to do that, so I'll contact each of you to find out,
I like that.
yeah,
I do too.
yeah, I thought it's a great idea.
Perfect. All right, with that,
So moved on.
motion is made